Hey everyone, Margarita here again. This is part 2 of the ongoing symptoms that I've been experiencing since my injury. And I want to get a little bit more in depth about some of these symptoms. It is completely out of my control what I'm dealing with on the daily. First and foremost, those symptoms have to be dealt with before anything else within a day can ever be dealt with in my life. And it makes it worse because if my son has exposures, I'm dealing with it double time because most of the time we are together. We have had to make significant life modifications in order to accommodate these symptoms and accommodate the injury and what has come out of it without proper treatment from the medical system. And these are due to my mother's ongoing crimes in the background. She is the one who prevented treatment initially in the medical emergency I was in. We were both in, and I physically watched her with my two eyes pull several staff members aside multiple times, multiple occasions, different times, different days, and tell them, I had a conversation with whatever staff member first, and then I watched her insert herself in this situation, pull the person aside, tell them false information about me. Then they come in, flip the whole script on me, start screaming and yelling in my face, operating on whatever she has told them, and then kicking me out of the hospital. And that has happened numerous times. So the hospital, Beaumont, is liable for a lot of what has gone on as well. The problem is I stayed so injured and so sick in such a fight for my life that each time this occurred, you only have 2 years to sue for medical malpractice. And I stayed that severe, and I was just still in a fight of trying to get to treatment and back and just get through each minute and each hour and each day alive. And I also could not string sentences together for those 34 and a half months as well until I crossed that first threshold. So that was another issue. I could not advocate for myself properly. I was trying to, but then it appeared that I had a mental disorder and or a drug problem because of the way the information was coming out of my mouth and the way it was being delivered because of the numerous brain injuries and the amount of carbon monoxide lodged and knotted up inside of my brain, with the amount of space that was left between my brain and my skull after it had swelled and broke through. So I could not deliver information. I could not, I was having trouble getting through each day. So I couldn't even address a medical malpractice lawsuit in the condition that I was in. There was a most recent injury where I was brought in dead for 15 minutes, unresponsive completely, a little over a year ago. And the same medical system, Beaumont, same hospital, kicked me right out onto the street with no help, no assistance. And they had done so about a little over 3 years ago as well. The police brought me in there, and the police, jumped right on the bandwagon, and because, Beaumont has been covering this up since the beginning of the injury and operating on my mother's delusions as well. So they do already have some false evidence entered into my medical file, and they're going to continue to ride with that because they are liable for leaving me untreated initially. So each time I'm brought back, this is repeated, that they act this way toward me, and then they say there's nothing wrong with me, and they refuse to contact anyone from my actual care team or anyone at the treatment center where we've been patients for over 5 years now, or even the psychologist who's been involved for almost 5 years as well. They do not, or my primary doctor, they don't contact any of them anytime that any of this happens. They just continue on with the delusions and the cover-up. And because of the ongoing severeness of the injuries, it just keeps going, and it gets added to each time. And I'm already so injured, juggling so many other issues that have come out of the injury itself, mixed with my mother's crimes running in the background, and the agencies chasing me and harassing me in the background as well, that it can't ever be gotten to. I literally have to take the most urgent of all this paperwork. I've been drowning in paperwork for years on end. It has never gotten situated, and it is all extremely important stuff with deadlines. And I'm to the point right now, I have about 5 or 6 really serious court situations, all different types of courts, all involved, all at the same time. And this is just absolutely absurd because this is not normal. So first and foremost, yes, I am having to deal with these chronic ongoing symptoms from the carbon monoxide flowing through my system being overloaded with it every day, along with all of the brain injuries. And then the repeated exposures and the numerous repeated brain injuries. Each one was different from the last. All 5 brain injuries were totally different. It doesn't matter. It adds to the pile of shit that I'm already in. And it makes it that much more difficult to continue to try to get anything done. I am getting things done at my own pace. I'm always going to have to be working at my own pace. And if I was not already self-employed prior to this injury, we would have definitely been dead in 2019. Neither one of us would have survived this. So I am doing stuff. And I am doing it as fast as I can. I'm working with the best that I can for the condition that I'm in and what I'm forced to deal with. I am doing the best job that I can. And I don't think anybody who doesn't have an injury, I don't even think anybody without an injury could deal with what I'm dealing with, just on the paperwork end. And so that is an ongoing issue, and it never gets situated, and I'm just drowning in it. So the other problem is, due to my mother's ongoing crimes and the chaos she creates and the agencies she's using chasing me, and all the problems she's creating, that is ongoing. At the same time, my injury is going on. And it was very extreme for those 3.5 years, very extreme during that time, because I still could not string sentences together. And when police would show up or CPS would show up or whatever, I couldn't even deliver information out of my mouth properly. And because of what she was telling them, they believed me to have a mental disorder or a drug problem. Instead of me, them recognizing me being home, trying to treat a medical emergency as an outpatient situation and trying to recover in my home and go to the center daily and come back and laying here suffering every day with all of these severe symptoms. They were perceiving it to be something totally different because in their sick heads, they believed that I would be in a hospital bed. If that was the case, I would be at a hospital, not comprehending that she's the reason that it was never treated within the hospital system in the first place. So, I do have to accommodate the symptoms, the ongoing continuous physical symptoms that I deal with every day since the day of the injury. That has to be dealt with first and foremost. Sometimes I never even get to a point where I can get up off the couch or out of bed. It doesn't matter that I did all those things I normally do to try to get some functioning for the day. Sometimes that's not even a possibility, and I just have to lay there for days on end, sometimes weeks, sometimes months. It does happen still. I just basically get, I get the cooking done for like the food that we have to eat for the day, or, and that's about it. I just do what I absolutely have to do and get my son's schoolwork done. He is homeschooled due to our condition and the ongoing issues that we suffer from, and these large spills that can happen at any time and force us away from our home. It becomes life-threatening immediately. And so he is homeschooled due to that as well. The other problem is other people's ignorance. They don't understand the severity of our condition, and that he just, he can't have any amounts of carbon monoxide. He can't eat or drink certain things, and other people are ignorant to that, and it could kill him immediately. It would cut off all oxygen and kill them. There's a lot of toxins in the food and the drinks, and a lot of people do not comprehend that. They just think because it's on the shelf that it's okay to eat or drink, and that's not the case. So I'll get all into that in a different episode, but because I'm very well educated on the food system and stuff like that. So the other problem is my mother's ongoing crimes. Like, at the same time I'm dealing with these ongoing symptoms and trying to, at the bare minimum, make sure we're fed every day and my son's schoolwork is done, I still have to accommodate the chaos and the crimes that I've always had to accommodate my entire life. And so now I'm accommodating a very severe injury, a permanent injury, injuries that keep happening due to it not being treated properly, due to the fact that I'm still in need of more proper treatment in order to get myself to a more stable place. At the same time, I'm still being harassed by all these agencies and courts and all these people, and I'm having to accommodate that chaos as well. And those are crimes. So, I mean, You're harassing somebody who's extremely unwell, and being forced to deal with that alone, mixed with the person harassing me or the agency harassing me, or usually there's multiple at once, which is still currently going on as I'm making this video. Those are all going on in the background. There are several agencies looking to mess with my life and disrupt my life, disrupt my recovery, disrupt my stability. And it's all due to her delusional phone calls and false court proceedings and false police reports. That is still going on right now. And it's been going on the entire time. I'm living in a very impossible situation. Those two things alone, mixed with my son being forced to be homeschooled for now, I don't know if that will ever change, but with the way we're forced to live, it's not going to be anytime soon if it does change. Even then, he's being taught differently. He has a different understanding and view of the world and how it works, and so do I. So I don't plan on him ever having to work for someone else ever in his life. He should never have to with where I'm taking things. And where I'm building things to. That should never have to be an issue. But the amount of chaos, that amount alone, has forced me to retire from my main form of self-employment. I was struggling along, continuing along with it a couple nights a week, very minimal hours for, I'd say a couple years after, so maybe 2 years after COVID, I was able to kind of continue that for a minute. But between my dad being injured, my ongoing symptoms, our condition, the severity, my son being homeschooled, the agencies chasing me, and then while I was gone away from my home, once I had to leave my home for a year, the people who stayed in it caused $100,000 plus in damage to my home in 1 year, and feel that they are not responsible, even though the whole home was just remodeled right before they moved into it. So that is another ongoing issue between all of that. It has forced me to retire from my main form of income. And I am under bankruptcy at this point. I'm under Chapter 13 bankruptcy because I have all of the assets to back it all up. And I did have to pay $165,000 out of pocket for treatment. So all of these things mixed, and never receiving any compensation from anyone who's been a part of the crimes against me, including the place that has caused my injury. That case is just now starting to go to court 8 years later. I haven't gotten any money from anybody. No pennies from it, not a penny from anyone. There's a lot of delusions going around in the background about I have people who pay my bills for me, and my mother's in the background telling people my ex paid all my bills, and that's how I get to live where I live. And then that delusion started falling apart, and then she started telling people my dad was paying all my bills all these years. And none of that's ever been real. I've 100% paid for everything myself, my entire life. And, there's other people talking about, oh, she's got sugar daddies, and she does this and that. No, none of that's real. I have 100% paid for everything I have and worked for everything I have myself. And none of that is real. I've never gotten a penny from anyone. So, to be able to accommodate just that stuff alone in the condition that I'm in, it is more on somebody's plate. Even if somebody's not injured, they wouldn't be able to handle what I'm handling just in that department alone. So all of those things going on are still currently going on. The damage to my home has been being worked on for about a year now. And I did not even get the proper amount from the insurance to start the work until 3 months ago. So I am waiting on more. They did not give me anywhere near enough. And I am trying to spread it. And I'm basically doing a lot of this work myself as I did the first time around. And that is how I'm managing to juggle everything and take the most urgent and do what I can. But this is just absolutely absurd that I have other people trying to say, you have to go do this and you have to go do that. And I can't. If I could do that, I would still be working my main form of self-employment. I had to file for bankruptcy. My income is not supposed to change, and I had no choice. Otherwise, nothing was ever going to get in order, and eventually we would lose our lives if I do not do things in a certain manner and I get back to treatment. So my plan and the lineup that I have it all in will work. But it cannot be disrupted with other people and agencies trying to disregard my medical condition and my medical documentation and act like I'm fine because of what I look like and try to tell me I have to do all these other things when that's not even possible. The federal bankruptcy court holds priority over everything. So if I can't do my main form of employment because of all of these crimes and the ongoing condition that I'm dealing with and everything that I'm forced to deal with, what makes you think I can add anything else to my plate when I'm already juggling 2 to 4 times more than what I can handle? I just had to get that out there because I have just so many people on my back, like just harassing me on so many different things that I'm extremely fed up with it. So I'll be back to talk about, some of these things that I've talked about already and get a little more bit into depth with that. Thanks.